This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha Show. Jeff Beals here at your service from NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing, Omaha's premier commercial and residential roofing contractor. Glad you have joined us. This is the only show you'll ever find that talks about the growth and development of Omaha and environs. And without any further ado, time to introduce my co-host, a man who is still basking in the glow of Creighton's upset victory over Villanova last night, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Jeff.
So, Amy and you went to that game last night.
Yeah, I took some friends and amazingly, Big East rival, and Creighton was favored to lose. Was
the underdog.
Expected to lose, and they won by 20 points.
That's amazing. And Villanova's number 9 team in the country. And Jim Rose was saying on the sports report yesterday morning that the only losses that Villanova had were to elite teams, including a team or two that had been ranked number 1 at one point in time in the year.
Absolutely. The crowd were on their feet most of the time. And
pretty loud.
It was loud. And we have a very young team. Mm-hmm. And I don't think any of the active players had started in a Big East game
ever before. Yeah, that's pretty good. McDermott knows how to coach.
Yeah, Greg McDermott. Congratulations to the team and Greg McDermott.
So, hey, and speaking of which, since the CHI Health Center Omaha is downtown, where you went last night to go see that game, there's a pretty cool play area coming together on the riverfront.
If you go check out the Gene Leahy Mall portion of the riverfront park, they've put in the huge orange structures, the play area.
Oh, is that what that is?
The equipment, yeah, all those big arches and
that's a play
the
area?
nets and kids can climb on it and everything else, and they have huge structures that are already in.
Okay,
and they put the sod down like over the last week.
Well, when it's 74 degrees in December, I guess you can put sod down.
It's really taking shape.
Okay, interesting, because I've driven by there a couple times and saw that orange thing and wondered, what on earth is that?
There's a bunch of them.
Okay, and you survived the storm this week.
It was a fun 10 to 20 minutes of watching the wind. It got really light outside in West Omaha and other places, and we survived.
I was driving back from Milwaukee, and I left Milwaukee at around 4 o'clock, which is right about when the peak of the storm hit Omaha, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't encounter, I was driving from Milwaukee, and I didn't encounter the storm till I was just west of Iowa City. That's when the storm and myself caught up together. And by that point in time, it was an impressive 5 or 10 minutes of driving through it, but it wasn't terribly dangerous.
Well, you saw some action on the road coming through Atlantic.
Yeah. So anyway, I ended up spending the night a little bit east of Des Moines because I got tired of driving, and so then woke up the next morning, had breakfast, and the sun was up. And then by the time I got to partway between Des Moines and Omaha near Atlantic, I probably saw 12, 13, 15 semi-truck trailers that were just lying on the side of the road that were blown over the night before.
You think they would have the news reports?
Yeah, and you'd think those guys would have stopped driving. Because I will say the whole stretch across Iowa that night, every rest area was full. Whenever you would come by a rest area, there would be semi-trucks parked on the shoulders all the way out back onto the active part of the road, because most of them were smart enough to stop driving, except for about 12 to 15 of them that suffered the consequences.
Well, that's the closest we'll ever get to a hurricane in Omaha, I think, especially in December.
Man, I hope, yeah. And you and I are both Omaha natives, and other than you living a few years out of state and me living a little over 1 year out of state, we've always lived here. And it's just unfathomable that we could have seen weather like that at this time of year. So who knows? Life is interesting on the Great Plains. Well, Trenton, let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, EagleMortgageCompany.com. They know mortgages like nobody in this town knows mortgages. Holly Schneidewin and the team there have been working very hard for 30 years to provide great services to home buyers and refinancers all across the Omaha metropolitan area. FHA, VA, conventional loans. They do all of that, and they provide great customer service. So if you get a little bit nervous, it's a little intimidating, thinking about refining or buying another house, It's another reason why you want Eagle Mortgage, because they listen. They care about you. They go the extra mile to cross the T's and dot the I's. You can find them in person at 114th and Davenport or online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. Well, Trent, I want to start off with a deal that you completed just recently at 96th and L, former Bank of the West building. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's about a 5,000 square foot building, 60,000 square foot, and it's a private company that bought it and has plans. I can't disclose it right now, but it's a great site. And for years and years, it was, I think, Commercial Federal Bank and then Bank of the West. And it'll be fun to see what happens right there.
Well, certainly a good corner. And then each week we like to share a little piece of national real estate news that CoStar provides for us. CoStar is a company that collects and reports real estate data from all across the country. And this week we're going to talk about the U.S. office market, which eased off last week after a post-Thanksgiving rebound. And this is kind of interesting. CoStar reported information from a security company known as Castle Systems. And this Castle Systems gathers anonymous employee data from workspaces where it provides access-controlled technology.
Anonymous.
Yeah. So basically, you're a security company and people have to badge in and badge out, right, to get through the electronic doors. Well, they track that on a macro level, and they can give you an idea as opposed as to how many people are actually coming into the office.
Okay.
So it said many of the cities declined by at least 2 percentage points from the previous week, right around Thanksgiving. Austin, Texas, hit nearly 60% in the week after Thanksgiving of people actually coming into the office, workers coming into the office, but fell to 57.3. So I thought that was kind of interesting that office use actually declined a little bit after Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, it's the holiday weekend, and people have excuses. People have events and things like that. And, hey, I'm working from home.
Yeah.
Which is code for I'm holiday shopping.
Nose to the grindstone. I'm exhausted working from home.
Yes, I'm working remotely.
Wrapping these Christmas presents. At any rate, next thing on the docket, Schooler, which is a very successful Omaha-based commodities grain-type company. They have officially moved into their new headquarters
Miracle
out
Hill.
west. Yeah. The building looks nice.
Beautiful building, yeah.
Yeah, 3-story building, and I can't remember what was there previously, but it's 137th Street, directly north of Biaggi's and Mahogany Prime. And they painted, a lot of these, have you noticed a lot of office buildings now are becoming gray and charcoal?
Yeah, I don't get that.
It's in right now. So they painted, it was a brick building. They painted it gray charcoal. Looks nice, but in 5 years, they're probably going to have to paint it again when the charcoal
And kudos
building
to them.
craze
And
ends.
that leaves a big vacancy for somebody right across from Jocelyn.
Yeah, and that's the only negative. We like to see more and more activity downtown. They were a longtime downtown resident, but I suspect a lot of their employees probably live west.
But it's an opportunity for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, a lot of times these offices, and that's an older building that they had across from Central High
Banquet
School.
facilities
And a lot of wedding receptions would be held there in their central area. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes apartment.
Yeah, it would be a great redevelopment.
Yeah, a lot of them do that. So we'll see. Core Bank has broken ground on a future full-service banking and mortgage branch office near 114th and Highway 370 in Papillion. 3,500 square foot building is scheduled to open next summer. All Holy Spirit Greek Orthodox Church plans to build a 32,000 square foot building at 405 South 193rd Street.
Sounds like Avenue 1.
Yeah, or actually it might be either on the south edge of Avenue 1 or just south of Avenue 1. Just west of 192nd. The reason I say that is I went on to aerial maps, Google Maps, to kind of see where that is, and I couldn't tell whether it would be part of Avenue 1 or immediately south of Avenue 1, but right there in that area.
Large multifamily project we announced on that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happening in that area. Just crazy. It'll be fun to keep our tabs on that. Developers are planning a 24-unit row house, Trenton, at 6th and Woolworth. So this is the Dahlman neighborhood, but south side. And this thing would have all units with 2 bedrooms and just 2 total buildings. So basically 2 buildings with, I imagine if they divide it in half, 12 row houses each.
It's great infill.
Yeah, it really is. And I think you're going to see more and more and more of that as downtown, midtown continue to be really vibrant. And of course, the Med Center, with all of these new jobs coming, I just think you're going to see more and more of those types of infill projects.
What's interesting about it is it's ground up as opposed to repurposing a warehouse building or an office building or something like that. And so we're seeing more and more new projects going up. The Capitol District is ground up. Was the first new office building downtown in a long time.
Well, and speaking of Midtown and redevelopments and office buildings, you took a client through the Blackstone Center, the former Kiewit headquarters.
Blackstone Plaza, 15 story. I think it's about 175,000 feet.
Talk to us about what it's like in there and what the renovation looks like.
Right next to the Cottonwood Hotel, 36 in Farnham. This is home of Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, who just signed like a 20-year lease. What is he, 90, 91 years old?
91, I believe.
And they've got a couple floors there, but we went up and we toured the Cloud Room, which is it's for the tenants as well, and I don't know if it can be rented or not.
I've done speeches up in the Cloud Room many times over the years.
The remodel is unbelievable, and the views are unparalleled because you've got views of most of Omaha through there, and you can see distance. And so you've got that. You've got huge amenities. There's going to be a grab-and-go kind of convenient area and restaurant on the main level, and then they did all the windows. They painted it charcoal, as you said, and it's going to be totally transformed, and it's just a great part of that. And then Channel 6 will be one of the tenants as well. They bought that building next to it.
Yeah, so Channel 6 is moving from the building next door to Blackstone Plaza and attached to it in a
2-story portion, yeah.
And then presumably the developers are going to take down the old Channel 6 part and build something more substantive eventually.
It sounds like, yeah, I haven't heard about that, but it makes sense.
Okay, all right. This is kind of cool. Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom is going to have a float in the Tournament of Roses parade on New Year's Day in Pasadena, California. 55-foot-long float, and it'll be in partnership with RFD TV, which currently airs Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. You're big time if you're in the Rose Bowl parade.
Do you think they'll have a statue of Marlon Perkins on there?
I could only hope. That would be pretty cool. I have good childhood memories
animatronics
of watching Marlon Perkins. Yep. While Jim wrestles the giant South American armadillo,
I'll be here safe in the Jeep.
I will eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All right. Trenton, last week we talked about some really cool rumors happening in North Downtown. Potential for a sports stadium, potential big parking garage, potential 2,000 employee office. Now we're hearing more rumors that a 2,000 employee office downtown may actually have more legs than we may have thought.
Yeah, I think, and we're talking about just north of TD Ameritrade Park. You've got so much activity down there with Kiewit University, the Millwork area, and if that's transforming. I mean, 2,000 employees, that's a lot. And we hear that it's a local company. We don't know who it is. We put it on our Facebook page and got a lot of comments on that, and that would be an amazing addition. But you've got some great sites. You've got the former Union Pacific piece of land there by their current headquarters just north of that, and that's another great placeholder. You've got the library site if that gets redeveloped, so we're good to go.
Which basically it sounds like the odds of the library site being redeveloped fairly soon are in the high 90% range.
Yeah, and I went to the library board meeting the other night, and
what did you get lost and stumbled into a meeting looking for something to do? Yeah. That sounds like fun.
It was my assignment for Grow Omaha.
Oh, okay.
Self-imposed, and there are some seriously passionate people that are associated with the library. The library board, Mike Kennedy and the group does an amazing job of overseeing the interests, and there's a lot of people that want to keep the library there, which is it's functionally obsolete in my opinion. Some people think they should tear it down and build a new one. Some people think that if a developer comes along, there should be 30,000 square foot there. But the plans are, and they've got a signed letter of intent to do 30,000 square feet on 1401 Jones Street. And they had nice renderings of that. But the mayor's office did a nice job of the economic development folks of explaining the process. And they didn't vote on anything. So there's still a lot of public comment, and I think it'll happen. Mm-hmm. And we'll have to see.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of this controversy, and some people, hey, could keep that library on that site, tear it down, or rebuild another one. The thought of wasting an entire square block, that premium in downtown Omaha, on a library, which libraries are important, but fewer and fewer people use them, so the footprint needs to be less and less and less, is ridiculous. I think the mayor's office has come up with a great solution.
But I want people to understand that 30,000 square foot building will be a branch library. And their master plan, and they've done a lot of studies, and they would hire someone to oversee this whole process. The main branch is planned to be between 72nd and 90th and on Dodge Street. And a lot of people think that it could be the due space gets torn down or repurposed, and then they've got that parking lot that they've fenced off for a long time. They own all that, and that's part of Heritage Services that is getting involved.
Exciting stuff. And that is your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. Going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to bring on Bill Barstow and Patrick White, and we're going to talk about the ACX 12 Theater that has recently opened in Far West Omaha. You're going to love hearing some of this stuff. They also have Backlot Pizza Restaurant and Exarban Cinema. Cool entertainment talk coming up. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on News Radio 1110 KFAB. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just for a little bit of perspective, Trenton's talking about going to the library board meeting.
Yes.
Like over the years, if I ever told him I was doing anything like that, he would say something like, what, you couldn't get into the insurance convention?
Yes, but I want people to
Library
know, since you're
board
listening to the uncut version, number one, thank you. Number two, full disclosure, we've talked about it on here that I have the 89,000 square foot former Shopko building listed, and I'm working with the city on putting their administrative and distribution services in their archival portion of the library. So I do have a vested interest in full disclosure.
He had so much fun there that next week he's going to go to the Nebraska Accounting Association meeting.
Yeah, a lot of insurance conventions scheduled.
He's going to go to this. He's going to go to the Electrical Engineering Club.
Bill Barstow, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on in, guys.
Master of the motion picture industry.
Now,
Trailblazer.
Is the overall company is still Main Street Theaters?
Yep.
Okay, so what, should I identify you as the owner of Main Street Theaters?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And Patrick, what's your new title?
Communications director.
Communications director. Excellent.
Adult in the room.
Hey, we got to have one. Okay, so Director of Communication.
Come on. It works better if you guys put your hands in each other's opposite pockets. Nice.
That's a very tempting offer.
You good with it? Amy, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh,
You can move it up if you want. Yeah, it's not blocking your face.
you good?
Is this your good side?
Yeah. I only have makeup on this side. What's the hottest movie you got right now?
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Not post-COVID,
today?
we're talking top
Thursday.
pre-COVID.
Oh, Thursday.
Really?
I want to see it.
You should see all that.
Isn't it amazing that people never get tired of
These numbers don't mean anything. No, they do not. Thursday night.
We're on, just so you know, we're videotaped, but some people,
Okay.
some people listen to it.
Yeah, we won't do this.
All right.
But I am always amazed that America never gets tired of superheroes.
Yeah, we got a lot coming next
Spider-Man.
year, too.
Yeah, because when you see the previews, there's always a couple superhero movies.
It's kind of interesting in that IP is, there can be conversation about what's happening with various demographics and stuff, but that when it hits like that,
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive.
That's pretty cool.
Patrick, have you seen King Richard?
I haven't seen King Richard yet.
It's good.
Yeah. I need to catch that one.
When you guys,
There are a few that I need to catch up on.
it's a directional microphone. So when you're talking, this is the challenge when you have two people on one.
Yeah.
You got to get right in front of it.
Oh, okay.
And so the tendency will be to back off since you don't want to get too close to each other, but
that
you
makes
pretty much
sense.
have to. Yeah. Yeah. So.
So yeah, Trenton wasn't really joking when he said hands in pockets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's in fact, sometimes we have had three people on a mic, which is never good. But in that case, I always have everyone stand up, and I always say you should stand, and you're like the three backup singers on the same mic.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, we're back.
Collection of some of the worst Christmas movies. The one with creepy baby doll is particularly disturbing. See it on the Scott Voorhees page at kfab.com.
And welcome back to the show, Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid from NAI NP Dodge. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing. That's the best roofing contractor you'll find anywhere in Nebraska or Iowa. Work with residential buildings, commercial buildings, all buildings, and you can find them at dndmroofing.com. Well, hey, we're going to spend some time talking about the entertainment business here in Omaha, and we have with us from Main Street Theaters owner Bill Barstow and director of communications Patrick White. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good to
Welcome
have
back.
you here. Yeah. So, Bill, first of all, I want to officially congratulate you. ACX 12, your brand new theater located west of 204th Street, south of Q, is up and running. It's open. Business is coming back as Hollywood is cranking out the motion pictures again. And Trent and I have had the opportunity to go there. The place is beautiful.
Well, thank you. And it's obviously getting it open and getting it running full speed has been a bit of a challenge over the last, 12, 18 months. So, yeah, it's great, and we love seeing it. And certainly with Spider-Man opening this past week, you get to see what it's really going to do. And so it's building up to this. The next 2 to 3 weeks for us in the industry are some of our busiest weeks of the year, and it's when we can kind of crank stuff. So to watch audiences starting on Thursday night, and then last night, virtually every showing sold out. Was a lot of fun to watch. I actually was driving through the parking lot, and I was videoing the 100% full parking lot and people streaming in. It was just it's a validation of something that, when we talk about Grow Omaha and that corridor down 204th Street is exploding. And, pandemic may slow things down a little bit, but we're certainly really, really, it's just fun to watch what's happening with it. We're so happy to be a part of it.
Well, we're huge fans, and it is my favorite theater. We don't live too far away from it, but we would have driven a lot farther. Patrick, give us an idea of ACX 12 Plus and what makes it unique and what makes it the best theater in Omaha.
Well, in Auditorium 1, we have our 70-foot wide screen, 50 feet tall. We've got laser projection technology, the only theater in Omaha right now to have that technology, Dolby Atmos sound. The thing that I think
60
stands
speakers,
out,
isn't it?
60 speakers, yeah, all around you, above, around, behind the screen. It's incredible.
And a lot of movies you can pinpoint which speaker.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
so you really feel like you're in the action.
Yeah, the way people are using sound design in films today it's fascinating.
Seeing James Bond there was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Trenton and I and our wives, Amy and Stephanie, we all went and watched James Bond there with you guys together, and that was an amazing experience.
What a blast, right? Yeah.
Plus, James Bond movies are the best to see it in that theater. But let me go back to something. You said something that a lot of people may have missed.
Yeah.
You said a 50-foot tall screen.
Yes. And a
That's
70-foot wide screen.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
about the equivalent of about a 4.5-story building.
Yeah, exactly.
For a little
Yes.
perspective.
Yeah.
That's just the screen. And this is, this, Patrick, but Trenton and I did a little Grow Omaha presentation to Metro Omaha Builders Association, which had rented out that big theater a month or two ago. And I had a PowerPoint, with some pictures of projects. And so I'm down there doing the presentation, and I'm standing there, I'm like, if you ever want to feel small, stand next to a 50-foot tall PowerPoint.
Oh, and you feel powerful in that situation too, though.
I was.
Having that presentation up there, it's incredible. We talked about recently with our staff, actually, imagine a 70-inch wide TV next to this thing. It just is totally incomparable. So, yeah, it's an incredible experience for all our guests.
Bill, talk about the backlot restaurant, which is part of this complex.
So in our industry, there's a lot of dine-in and tying food and bev sales to the entertainment experience. And our version of that was what we did out there, where we put that restaurant that has its very own identity. We had to have a North Star, and our North Star was a Detroit-style pizza. It was a signature food that a lot of people liked, and
you grew up on.
And we grew up on. It was just pizza to us, but it was something you could stand behind and push out there. And when we put the restaurant sitting up on the corner, if you think about it, when you pull up to that restaurant, you've got your own parking. You know, you may not want to be part
separate
of
entrance.
Separate entrance, everything else. In fact, when you're in there, you might want to choose an experience that you don't even know that theater's there. So one of the comments we get a lot is, I didn't expect this. I didn't realize it would be this nice. I didn't, that kind of thing. And we love that. We love surprising people, but it was all designed to be that way. There were a lot of people that worked in the background on that, from the guys at HBA and IDF doing our interiors and everybody, to make that a really cool experience. So we are in a couple of different businesses. The one that everybody thinks we're in is the movie business. It's something that I grew up on. It's something that we do, but we're also in the food and bev business. And the ability to tie those two together into one entertainment piece. So we see it as it rounds out everything. We didn't just want to do food and bev. We wanted something you could really point to. I think our cocktail program from Tyler Schaefer from Inkwell is working really heavy on that. He's doing an amazing job. So as all these quality pieces come together, they wrap themselves around the movie-going experience. And as important as that is, and what that means to all of us, right? Movie-going to all of us means something very unique and very specific. We want to add to that. So whether it be the events that we do or the gaming environments that are going to be coming along, and so the food and the cocktails, it's all coming together into one big thing. It's no longer just going to see James Bond. It just isn't. We want to control that environment from start to finish.
And you talk about backlot. It is a premium menu type restaurant. It's so good, and not only the food but the cocktails.
Yeah,
I was
bar's
there,
unbelievable.
which is how I judge a restaurant personally. I was there, I think, 1 or 2 Fridays ago, and the kids and Stephanie and I had a dinner there, and I ordered, the bartender had a cocktail special. It was a maple syrup, bacon-infused old-fashioned, whatever. I'm still dreaming about it. I think you need to make it permanent. It was so good.
Oh, it's going to be permanent. And Tyler Schaefer is the guy behind all that, and Tyler's absolutely amazing. And so it's fun to watch that happen. And that was a piece that we really wanted to develop. And I would say in hindsight, I've looked at that and said that was a really understated piece. And when you can combine that experience, and I think the bartenders and the people that Tyler has managed to train in his system really, really adds to it. You can't just throw that in there. There better be passion behind it. There better be passion behind the food. There better be passion behind the bar. And that's all separate to the passion that's behind the the ices and the popcorn. I mean, we choose popcorn machines very specifically. We choose lots of things very specifically to all come into one event.
Well, we're talking about movie theaters and restaurants and entertainment with Bill Barstow and Patrick White from Main Street Theaters, which owns ACX 12, Backlot, and other theaters. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but we've got a break for the news. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
How's your booking business?
Fine.
Is it picked up?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't lose anybody, so I've got one little theater in Iowa that hasn't reopened, but most everybody else is open, and it's kind of interesting to watch them try to understand the industry that they're in. There are people that don't fully understand the business that they're in, and so trying to explain demographics.
Terry.
We're going to do a UNO hockey segment.
We can do that. Let's talk about that Saturday. Let's talk about that Saturday Night Western game.
We'll take that. Were you up there?
No, I couldn't.
Oh my gosh.
It was fantastic.
That kind of saved the first half of the year, didn't it?
Yes.
Conference-wise.
So we'll have about a 5-minute segment after this.
Great.
Okay.
What do
you guys want to talk about?
Let's hit exorbitant summit.
No, we're going to break.
Which will flow naturally from our novel company.
Yeah,
Adult
yeah,
Network.
let's-
Do you want me to talk about my experience last night in there?
How you doing?
Yeah, we're with you.
In exorbitant.
Yeah, I went to see Spider-Man there last night, and the crowd was just electric. It was incredible.
I drove, we had breakfast at the La Peep at 69th and Pacific this morning, and I just kind of drove through Exarban Village on my way there. And even at
The whole schedule.
7:05 in the morning, you go by, you can just tell that the place is energetic.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
no
was
one's
a
out,
problem.
but I mean, just the way it's all lit up.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see
Well,
more there. I think there's still
Did you get that
potential there.
boost?
I think
Oh, yeah.
it's be fun to watch that continue.
There,
I got it.
So,
so
a couple more residential buildings on either side of the parking garage.
6 months ago, there was 80,000 square foot available office space in Exarban
I
Village.
didn't want to take it the day before going
And now there's like 4,000 or 5,000 square foot available.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and that doesn't include, there's like a 30 or 40,000 square foot sublease in Blue Cross Blue Shield. But that just kind of came on the market, but of the other buildings, everything else,
Yeah, Terry?
Do you know who's occupying those?
there's a marketing company that's just taken about 14,000 feet or something,
Okay.
where Security National Bank is and Kinghorn Gardens, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
I don't know who else has moved in. I was just showing space, and that's what the listing agent was telling me.
I don't know if we've got, all the employers are not back full yet, right? I don't think Blue Cross Blue Shield's back yet.
I think that those insurance companies are among the last
Yeah.
to go back, especially health
PayPal,
insurance.
I don't think it's gone back.
Really?
Yeah. Mutual of Omaha, I don't think hardly anyone goes in yet.
We had to stay at the Hilton Garden Inn for 5 days in Exarban Village, so I got to live the village experience.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's a shame we don't have more permanent housing down there.
It's a nice life.
I think it might have
We got
been-
some condos finally, about apartments, but it'd be nice to see.
You
more.
wonder if there's some hindsight thinking that had we done more permanent housing,
Yeah.
what that would have done.
But
But there's more coming.
it's been wildly successful though.
You got those two buildings, you know, they're gonna, eventually they're gonna put 2 4 or 5 story buildings on either side of that new parking garage. And then, I think you'll get more in there. But, you know, those sorts of things, it's not a bad life. Like, I could see,
Well, I've got friends that live up in Pinhook, and they're still working age, but they're older. And
Empty
they
nesters.
absolutely love it. Yeah, they absolutely love it.
They walk everywhere.
They walk everywhere. They can get. They know where the happy hour they want to go to. They know when they want to get a beer at Backbone Tap House.
They can
want to
stumble
catch a
home.
movie, right? They can stumble home. They enjoy that whole experience.
I mean, you seriously have more than a handful of restaurants, more than a handful of cocktail bars.
What do you got the new Indian place opening? I got a nice mail
Yeah.
yesterday.
That sounds good.
I can't wait for
Interesting
that
menu.
place to try, because I love Indian food and it's supposed to be kind of upscale.
Yeah,
They're doing a nice job in there.
it looks like it. Some really nice finishes.
Gorgeous, yeah.
So good for them.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I think the traffic for your two businesses there will just keep going up and up and up, because the other thing is I've noticed, like, I was not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, doing a thing in Des Moines, and a couple people there were talking about, they go to Omaha periodically because it's a short drive and all that. And a couple of people mentioned, I love that Exarban. I love that Exarban.
I like what Des Moines has done with all the residential density downtown.
Yeah, yeah.
They've always
They've always done a good job with their downtown. They've always been kind of downtown.
Did you go to the
centric.
Hy-V, the downtown concept Hy-V?
No, but I'm familiar with it.
Amazing.
Yeah, isn't it?
We need one of those.
I don't know if it's very profitable, but I think it was a cool footprint.
Yeah, last we heard.
Is it one story?
Yeah, one story.
Because
Some
last
of
we
those
had
get to
heard
be 2-story in some cities.
Wow.
was that they had intended to do a twin do it in downtown Omaha very, very quickly, but they scuttled those plans because supposedly the one in downtown Des Moines is not doing that great.
That's what I heard, and it was, but it's very cool to walk through, and the
Yeah.
concept is impressive. So.
Well, and as we keep building up and building up, eventually you'll get to the point where a grocery store couldn't not make it. You know what I mean?
But we've been talking about that for the 18 years we've been on the show.
We're probably still a few thousand housing units short of it really being viable.
Yeah.
So why is there a commitment in Des Moines to do it? You know, it's all those 4-story stick-built apartments and condos. I mean, they really
just
want
downtown.
they populated everywhere you can go to. There's
I can answer that question. The entire city of Des Moines is only 200,000 people.
okay.
Okay, and so it's less than half the size of the city of Omaha. It's pinned in by suburbs. It cannot grow. And whereas in Omaha, you have lots of suburban
nodes.
frontier that the city can still keep annexing.
Right.
So that lessens some of our pressure. Secondly, Omaha has major urban concentration in Midtown, Exarban, Med Center area that Des Moines doesn't have as much of. They have to be a little more down. They have a couple little nodes here and there. One of them a little bit west of downtown, but it's nothing like what we're doing in Blackstone and Midtown and Med Center area. And so even our urban renewal choices, I think, here are more. So I think, from what I can tell from having driven around several times in that city, I think we have more urban renewal choices. You figure we've got South Side, near North Side and South Side are doing really well. Blackstone area, Park Avenue in Leavenworth, Midtown Crossing, Med Center, Exarban, Dundee, Benson, some not too far from now, I think Vinton corridor from 24th to 13th will blow up. I don't know if they have as many of those over there. Little Italy, yeah. I don't Nodell.
That makes sense.
I don't think they have as many of those urban nodes as we have.
Here goes.
Okay.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid from NAI NP Dodge. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing. And it's time for our commercial real estate development spotlight, brought to you by Noddle Companies. Noddle Companies is based right here in Omaha, but they are doing commercial real estate and mixed-use developments all over the place. A lot of retail properties around the country that they have. But here in Omaha, they have the Village Point Medical Campus, where big-time construction is underway. They're going to be doing a project just on the west side of 180th south of Dodge. It's going to be kicking off pretty soon. They have the Builders District in downtown, which is anchored by the Kiewit headquarters, Steel Ridge in the Papillion-Gretna area, River's Edge on the Missouri Riverfront in Council Bluffs, and of course, Exarban Village. And Trenton, you were saying just during the break that office space is leasing up in Exarban Village incredibly fast.
Besides a big sublease opportunity that just came on in the what building? Blue Cross Blue Shield? No, what building is that?
Which one? Exarban Village, where Security National is located, or
Blue Cross Blue
okay.
Shield. There's a big sublease there, but there's only about 4,000 square foot of office space available.
Okay, so yeah, it's really, really been in play. And one of the great things about Exarban Village is the entertainment and retail, not the least of which is the Exarban Cinema. Speaking of which, we have the owner of Main Street Theaters, which has Exarban Cinema and other theaters, Bill Barstow, with us, and Patrick White, Director of Communications. Let's talk a little bit about Exarban Cinema. That's been there for several years now. A lot of people love it.
10 years to be exact.
Has it been that long?
Wow.
12/10 of 2010. Somebody.
So 11.
Is it? Yeah. How about that math?
Yeah.
Math is hard.
One to grow on.
Math
Soon
is really
12.
hard. What's interesting about that was we get so busy doing stuff. Somebody came to us and said, "Hey, what are you doing for your big birthday party?" And I was like, Spider-Man. That's it. We're gonna do Spider-Man. But no, Exarban Village has been an amazing thing. I think what Jay Noddle has done on their portion, and certainly John Hughes and Magnum Development, Joe Kudelek and those guys, it's been fun to watch that grow. It's fun to be there. I was just saying in the break that my wife and I had the luxury of staying in the village for a few days last week and enjoying that lifestyle. And it really is a cool lifestyle. It's we're talking about all these different little development areas, but I think what Exarban Cinema and Backlot Tap House bring to the village is part of that entertainment experience, part of that magnet that pulls you into the village.
And what's interesting about Exarban Village is it's the best example, certainly in Omaha, but in a lot of communities where it is mixed use, where you've got now you have ownership. There's condos there, there's apartments, there's retail, there's office, there's entertainment, and you've got it. It's all walkable. You got the park there. You got all the programming that's going on, and pop up things. You got a new Indian restaurant coming, and you just don't see that anywhere else.
Lisa Bachman with Noddle does a great job of organizing a lot of that and making sure that all those different events are going on. And I think there are times, we were in there very early, and I look at some pictures of when we were there and nothing else was there. And, we needed more density, right? We needed more opportunity to do things. I think Baxter Arena, you may not think about it, but certainly hockey or a big event that draws thousands is impressive. But even adding the softball and baseball, what we see in bumps And take a restaurant, for instance. Let's say you get an extra 10 tables because there was a baseball game or a softball game. That's significant when you add that up. It really is significant. And so all those things in conjunction, I think, Noddle's doing a great job on Zone 6, I believe they call it, with adding all the different experiences over by Interrail and things. But Exarban Cinema is the biggest draw in Exarban Village by far. In fact, I think we outdraw Baxter Arena. I mean, that's the kind of numbers that pull into that building. And I think sometimes, I don't know if we get the full credit or people appreciate how much of a draw Exarban Cinema is. People choosing to come into the village to spend a lot of money, right? Hard-earned money to watch movies and have entertainment experience. So we're very proud of what we bring to the village. And I think, it's as the village continues to grow, and I think it's continuing to grow, I think we're getting a little bit younger. I think Jay's doing a great job of doing some demographic things there, and we're certainly a big supporter of what they're doing.
UNO's graduation, I was down there for lunch and touring office space, and it was amazing to see the crowds and people with their gowns on, their caps, and they just filter in and they come across the street and they fill up the village. We were talking about earlier about that big screen experience out at ACX, the 7-story wide, 5-story tall screen out west, which is very impressive. But there's also number 4, which is our ACX auditorium at Exarban Cinema, is also a really cool experience. And I have a good friend who works in the industry, worldwide company that does nothing but theaters, and he tells me every time I see him, his favorite spot to watch a movie is auditorium number 4 at Exarban Cinema. He takes that over IMAX. He takes that over any of these crazy sensory experiences. He thinks the design of that room, which is kind of round, in some ways we sort of modeled that over some other famous theaters that were in Omaha to try and give that cool feel. And Patrick, you were saying you stopped in there last night just to watch the Spider-Man crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in there last night, and the crowd was electric. It was incredible, and I agree. Number 4 is still a fantastic experience for our guests. Spider-Man is one to certainly see this weekend and see it with a big crowd because there are a lot of fun surprises. No spoilers, of course, but a lot of fun surprises for our guests, and you're going to want to be surrounded by people cheering and laughing. It was an incredible movie experience, and it was just awesome to be back in there.
Well, gentlemen, it's been pleasant having you here on the show today talking about some of our favorite subjects, movies and going out for dinner and lunch. So thank you to both of you for everything you're doing to make Omaha a more fun and enjoyable place. And thank you also, Bill, to you and your colleagues for sticking things out during the last year and a half, which was so tough on your industry, because now people are coming back and they're enjoying businesses like ACX 12, like Exarban Cinema and Backlot Tap House and Pizza. So guys, thanks so much.
Thanks for the opportunity. We love talking about it.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys being there.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that's Bill Barstow, owner of Main Street Theaters, and Patrick White, Director of Communications. When we come back, it's the lightning round. Got a lot of things on the list. I don't even know if we can get through all of them. You're listening to Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid on Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Awesome. That's good stuff. Yeah, thank you.
We didn't get into obscure movie quotes or anything. That's a little disappointing.
Next time. That could take a whole show. I could do a whole show just on Caddyshack.
Do it. All right, thanks for the opportunity, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
My son and I were watching. Everyone watches Christmas Vacation several times during Christmas. When my son and I, was 15, we watched Regular Vacation. The original National Lampoon's Vacation for the first time. And I'd seen it a zillion times, going back to 1980 or whatever it came out.
Yeah, first time for him.
First time for him.
Yeah.
And there were 3 times in the movie where he's like, that's where that quote comes from? Because basically, so many things I say are from Caddyshack, Vacation, or Fletch.
Yeah.
That's
Chase all the way.
Real tomato ketchup?
See you, gentlemen. See you later.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Bye.
So we've got, I'm going to fly through a few things here. And get it up ready here. Talk about heavy brewing, Iris Blackstone, Power Life Element Draft House. Then I'll hit you with Little King, and then if there's time, we'll mention Joe Bananas. Okay. Which I think there will be. How long do we have, Raj?
You're gonna have about 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, well, okay, well, a lot of time then. Yeah, okay. Okay.
That's good information.
Yeah, that's
Talking
good.
about pioneers, these guys, I mean, what's happened over the last 2 years in the film and the movie business is crazy, and these guys stuck it out. They pioneered out there, 204th and Q, and to see them reap the rewards is exciting.
It makes your smart speakers sound even smarter.
They took some risks.
You get to play News Radio 1110 KFAB on iHeartRadio.
And welcome back to the show, Grow Omaha, News Radio 1110 KFAB. Jeff Beals sitting next to Trenton Magid from NAI NP Dodge. This is your lightning round, which as always is brought to you by Turner Construction. Turner is building for the future with over 150 full-time Turner Construction employees here in the Omaha area. Big projects, medium projects, little projects, they do all of that. In fact, Turner Construction really, they've added a new complex warehouse office here in Omaha and just becoming such a big part of the business fabric, the construction fabric. And one of the things we always like to mention when we're talking about Turner Construction is to speak directly to those of you who are in the trades or want to go in the trades. Turner's a great place to work.
They're always hiring.
They are, they need, because they're growing, they're building things like crazy. You see that Turner Construction sign all over town. And the other thing is, if you work for them, you're working for a company that really takes care of people because they're very interested in all of the, the stuff that's beyond making a profit, like helping with metros, programs to attract people to the trades and all that sort of stuff.
Internships, educating high school students.
Yeah, so we appreciate everything Turner Construction is doing to not only enhance the Omaha built environment, but making Omaha an even better economy and place to live. Well, let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about a few of the things we have on the docket. Heavy Brewing is a local brewery that plans to open at 203rd and Patton Street in Gretna. Don't know exactly when, but it'll be sometime in 22. And then the Itis Blackstone opened earlier this week in the Switch Beer and Food Hall. That, of course, is right at 36th and Farnham in the Blackstone District. The restaurant serves both urban food and comfort food.
They've been mixing it up at the Switch, and we got to get back down there.
Well, this place, the Itis, had been a food truck, and now they have a permanent location inside the Switch Beer and Food Hall. Yeah, I love going to Switch because sometimes there'll be experimental restaurants there, and then even the restaurants that have been there ever since day one, really good. It's just a fun place to go. I've never been down there for dinner yet, but I go for lunch periodically. It's not necessarily closest to our office,
right,
but I get down there sometimes. Power Life, a yoga and fitness studio, is set to open in January at One Pacific Place. It's going to be a 3,000 square foot bay located on the northwest side of the complex right next to 801 Grill. So a good place for me to go if I want to get in shape.
I don't think you'll see you and I there, but I'm sure a lot of people will frequent.
I'm probably not their demographic. All right, the Alamo Draft House has reopened at Midtown Crossing, and so that's encouraging. Yeah. And then, Trenton, let's talk a little bit about Little King coming to 86 and Dodge.
This is exciting. I sold that building. Lockwood Development is going to take that down pretty quick, and they're going to build a ground-up prototype for Little King. Now, Little King's been in Omaha for decades, and they bought the franchise and the franchisor, and they've got a lot of restaurants planned. But this is the old Enterprise car rental right next to that Bank of the West building. They own that building as well. So you're going to see a really cool building, small lot, but it'll be a drive-through, and it'll be neat.
Will there be any indoor seating?
I think it'll be a small amount of indoor seating too.
Are they going to take down both of those buildings?
I think, as far as I know, just that Enterprise car rental.
Okay, and then the Bank of the West might be something
at least
else.
It's somewhere
okay,
else.
Interesting. So when do we think we might see a backhoe ripping that building apart?
I think sooner than later.
Okay, I mean,
Real quick.
Demo is kind
You
of
loved
fun.
it. You love demo.
It's kind of fun to watch.
Did you see they took the Runza down at Midtown Crossing?
Yeah.
That just went down like yesterday. I mean, it went down fast.
You know, a fast food restaurant is pretty much huff and puff and blow it down, right? It does. I think when they take the backhoe to your typical fast food restaurant building, it doesn't take long. In fact, some people, not me, but some people would refer to fast food restaurant buildings as disposable buildings.
The way land prices are, I wouldn't be, anything's possible, but you're seeing buildings taken down quite a bit.
Yeah, it is, that, but to me, that's a sign, as long as you're not taking down historical or architecturally significant buildings, that's a sign of progress when someone has something bigger and better planned for a site than what's on there.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's like taking down a 30-year-old, fast feeder or something like that. Hey, do you like that use of industry lingo? Sometimes in the real estate business, we refer to fast food restaurants as fast feeders.
Sure.
All right, Joe Bananas, the old Joe Bananas space at 10th and Pacific Street will become a bar and a restaurant around next summer. The north side of the building will be a champagne and wine bar. South side will be a casual dining restaurant.
I sold that a couple years ago, and a developer took it and fixed it up, put a lot of money into it, and flipped it.
Really? That intersection still has more potential because on immediately south of this old Joe Bananas is the Blue Barn.
Yeah.
And then
Villa Farina is a nice restaurant right next door.
I am embarrassed to say this as a restaurant guy. I have never tried
It's good. Great Italian.
Okay. We need to go there sometime.
And you got more condos there. Another little tower.
Okay, great. The music's playing, which means that we're getting the Shepherd's Hook again, just like last week and every week before that. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Maggot.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing, NAI, NP Dodge, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.